Hello and welcome to ZWCAD. In this video, I'll show you the step-by-step method of making a plan view and sectional elevation of stair plan right from scratch using ZWCAD. Now, ZWCAD is a strikingly similar software to AutoCAD, and it's a great alternative if you want the same and even better features like highly efficient smart mouse gesture, where you can start frequently used commands using smart gestures that can be customized as per your preference. Now, this also comes with term as well as perpetual license, and you should give it a try. Now, if you are an AutoCAD user, you'll have almost zero learning curve as the software interface, tools, and commands are almost identical, and you can transition to ZWCAD in no time. You can follow along this video as well using AutoCAD with absolutely no problem. So to try making this drawing using ZWCAD, download its 30-day free trial version using link in the description. So with that, let's get started. The first thing that you'll notice here is a strikingly similar user interface. So if you are familiar with AutoCAD and if you are following along this tutorial with AutoCAD, you'll have absolutely no problem because the user interface, tools, commands, everything is exactly the same. So with that, let's start with unit, and that's the most important part before we start this drawing, because we are making this drawing in architectural, so you need to ensure that you set everything as per architectural drawing unit. So I'll type UN, press enter, and the first thing here is, well, the length type, which is obviously set to architectural in my case, but in your case, if it is something else, change it to architectural. Now the precision, change that to ½ an inch, and in the insertion scale, change that to inches. And with that, click OK, and the unit is set. So with that, the next step is measurement for the stairs. So in this case, I'm using a measurement of, well, 9 inch for the tread length and 6 inch for the riser. Now that's the size of one step of this stair that I'll be using, and the total floor height in my case is 10 feet. So considering this, if the height is 10 feet, that means it is 120 inch. So for 120 inch, how many steps do we need? Well, that's a very simple calculation. Simply divide 120 by 6, which is the riser height. So that comes out to be 20. All right, so we need 20 steps. Now let's divide it into two, half for the landing area. So after 10 steps, we'll add a landing area, and then again, we'll add the remaining 10 steps. So that's the kind of stair that we'll be making. Now, before we move any further, I want to mention that the 2D drawing with complete dimensions of this stair plan is available in our completely free practice drawing ebook. So you can download the practice drawing ebook to get more than 80 2D and 3D practice drawings, including this stair plan. Link is in the description of the video, or you can also click here somewhere at the top to get the ebook. Now back to the video. So let's start with a rectangle first. So I'll go to rectangle, and since we are making the plan view first, here the things will be slightly different. So we have already seen the calculation for riser. Now let's talk about tread. So the tread size is 9 inch, and we are making 10 steps. Okay, so 10 multiplied by 9, that makes it 90. So the total size should be, for this rectangle, should be 90. So at 90, comma, now how much width do you want for the two stairs? So in this case, I think 80 inch is just fine because we'll add room for the railings and other things. So 90 inch by 80 inch and done. You don't need to add inch sign here. Simply type at 90, 80 and you'll have the rectangle. Okay, now the next thing is explode. So I'll just select this rectangle, type X and enter, and that's going to explode it into separate lines. All right, let's go to offset. So here's the offset tool, select, and the offset distance is 9. So I'm going to type 9 and enter, and I'll make several offsets of this line along this direction. So kind of like this. Here. So we've got all the offsets, and after the offset, well, you can actually count it. So we've got 10 steps. Okay. Now the next step is line exactly at the center. So I'll just add this line. All right, and let's add more offsets. So I'll go to offset again, and here I'll add an offset distance of 2. So 2 and enter. Let's move it up and once again move it up. Then again down and once again down. All right, now we can delete this central line. We are done. And also let's make a few changes here. So maybe I'll just go to offset one more time. I'll select 3 this time, and I'll offset this one right about here. and also I'll just offset this one right about here. Okay, so that is done. Now I'll go to extend tool, that is right here, press enter after selecting extend, and let's extend this, this and this one. Similarly extend this, this and this one. All right, now let's go to trim, press enter, and let's just trim this one, and this one. Done. All right, now we're doing it on purpose, and you'll see why I'm just making all these changes kind of like this. So for now we are pretty much done. Now let's go to circle and select 2 points, and I'm going to add the first circle here, and again I'll select the 2-point circle and I'll add it right about here. Okay, it's time to clean it up again. Maybe I'll select this line, delete it, and again I'll go to trim, enter. I'll just trim this, and I'll trim this. We can delete that one, and I'm going to trim this. We are done. Let's select and delete. Okay, so that's our railing here. So this is the direction, it's bending it here and then going here. So the railing is done. Now what's next? The next is we need to clean this area. So once again I'll go to trim, press enter, and let's just clean this entire area like that. All right, and let's repeat it for this one as well, for the insides and for this one as well. We are done. So that's pretty much done. Now for the landing area, I'm going to select line tool, and here I'll add a 3 feet landing area. So here simply type 3 and then feet sign. Now that's a single apostrophe. Press enter and we are done. Now track this point and click here, and we have it. Now for this side, I'm going to add a 6 feet lobby area. So for that I'll go to line and I'll click here, and that's going to be 6 feet. And again I'm going to track it and I'll click right here. Okay, that is done. Now we can also add door here if you want, but before I do that, let's just add all these lines. So I'll select all these external lines, actually all these, and type J, enter, and it is all joined into one single polyline, which we can now offset. So let's go to offset, add a 6 unit offset or 6 inch offset and move it out, and that's the wall thickness here. And we are pretty much done. The only thing that we need to add here is door, that we can add later. But for now we are done. Let's just add one more thing, maybe the direction arrow. And for that I'm going to use polyline. So you can go to this one to select polyline, or you can use its command PL. Now I'll click at this point right here, and maybe I'll just click right about here, and now I'll type W for width, enter, and now it's prompting me to specify the starting width. Now starting width is 3. And now the prompt is ending width. Let's make it 0. And what will happen? Well, this. So now we are making this kind of arrowhead shape. So what just happened? We made a polyline with 0 thickness, then 3 thickness here and 0 thickness again here. Okay, so that's done. Let's make a mirror image of this. So I'll select it, and now I'll go to copy here and select mirror. You can also use MIRR command for this. And now I'll select this point, this midpoint, and click here and enter. So that's the mirror image. Of course the direction is not right, so let's fix it. Select it. Once again let's go to mirror, and maybe I'll just select this point right about here and just this point right here. Now do you want to delete source object? Well, yes, we want to. So I'll type yes, enter, and we have this, the arrow on the opposite side, and that just finishes the plan view. Now using this plan view will make the elevation, the sectional elevation to be precise, and for that I'm going to add, well, some construction geometry. So I'll go to line, and here I have ray that I'll use, and I'll just track these points. So I'll add one ray for this, another one for this, another one for this, and last one for this. Now I'll also add another line here, actually ray. So I'll just click here and maybe I'll just add it like that. Okay, so that's pretty much done. Now we'll use these reference lines to make the stairs, the steps. So let's go to line here, and here I'll start from this point. Now that's where the stairs are starting, obviously. So I'll click here, move it up, and as you know, the riser size is 6. So type 6, enter, and now move here, and the tread size is 9. So 9 and enter, and done. Press enter, select the ray, delete it, and we have the single stair here. Let's make several copies of this. So I'll go to this copy tool, select this, enter, and now click on this point and paste it right here. Keep pasting it till you reach this line. So now I'll just keep on clicking. And it exactly ends up here because we did the calculation properly. So there it is. Okay, so that is done. Now the next step is adding the landing area. So here is the landing area, and we'll select this thing entirely, type J, enter, and now let's make a mirrored copy. So let's go to mirror, select this one, enter, click on this point and this, and press enter again, and we have the mirrored copy. Now finally, let's add one more line here from this point to this wall. Okay, so that's the basic shape here, but of course that's just not complete picture. So I'll delete this ray and let's add the details here, which is quite important, of course. So for the details, I'm going to select the line tool, and here I'll select this line and I'll select this one, actually these 2 points, which is making no sense at all for now, but let's just add it like this and this. Now let's go to offset and offset this line. So the offset distance is 6, enter, select offset here, select offset here, done. Now here also we can actually add offsets. So I'll select offset, and now the offset distance should be 6, and I'll select this line and make it offset like that. Okay, done. And in a similar way we can offset this one right about here. Okay, so that is pretty much done, but now I'll go to fillet. And for the radius, I'll select 0, which is already selected, so nothing to change here for now. And with 0 radius fillet, I'll add the fillet right here, which will basically merge it at a point. I'll repeat it again for this one, and it's going to merge it like this. And that's what we want here for this. Okay, now we can delete this one, and we can delete this one as well. And this needs to be extended further, so I'll just go to extend, enter, and extend it, and we are done. We also need to maybe extend this, so extend, and now we are done. Okay, so the base shape is done. Now let's add the railings. For the railing, I'll select line tool, and here I'm going to start from this point. Now here I'm not going to start exactly from this point, though if you want you can definitely do that. I'll just leave some room here, and maybe a distance of 2 inch is just fine. So 2 and enter, and now I'll just move it up, and that's 2 feet. So don't forget to add this apostrophe sign, single apostrophe for feet, and enter, done. Now again, this thickness is 2 inch, and just move it down right here. Okay, let's go to 2 point circle again, and let's add the 2 points here, and well, pretty much we are done. So we can just delete this line and we can trim this part, done. Okay, so that's our railing. Let's select it, type J, enter, done. And now we will make several copies of this. So I'll just select this, and I'll go to copy, and I'll select this point right here and just paste it like so. Okay, so we are pretty much done. Now for the similar distance of this railing on these steps, well, I'm going to make a copy here. So I'll select it, and once again I'll just make a copy. I'll just move it right about here, and now I'll move it. So select move and just move it here to a distance of 2 unit, and we are done. Now it's properly where it should be. Select it, and let's make again few copies. So I'll just select this point and make the copies, and here we are. Now let's add the line. So I'll go to line tool, and I'll select this center point, and I'll select the last center point here. I'll repeat the process for line. I'll select this center, and I'll add it right about here. Okay, done. Let's add a few offsets. So let's go to offset, and the offset is 2. And this one should be made like this, and this offset should go down. Okay, we are done. Now we'll add fillet. So once again I'll go to fillet, and the radius this time should be 4. So I'll type R for radius, enter, 4, and enter, done. Now select this one and this one, and it will add the fillet radius of 4. Repeat the process. And if you want, you can actually decrease the radius this time. So maybe I'll just type R, and I'll add the radius of 3.6 this time. I'll select this and this, and here we are. So we've got this. So now the railings are added. The final detail that we need to add here is this, the extra length here. And for that, I'll go to line, and now this length is 6, enter, and now I'll just move it down and track it, this line. Just track this point, click here, or you can add a distance of 2 if you want, and I think 2 units should be fine. So maybe 2, enter, and just move it all the way through like this. We can just add fillet here and we can just merge it later. And I'm going to do the same here. So here also, let's go to line, and this distance is 6. Move it down to a distance of 2 and just move it all the way here. Okay, finally, let's go to fillet again and radius, enter. This should be 0, enter. By the way, with 0 radius, you get this sharp corner. That's what we need. Press enter again and add the sharp corner here as well. We are done. Now a little bit of cleanup work is all that we need. So for the cleanup work, I'll use trim. So let's go to trim, enter, and let's trim everything the way I'm trimming now. And now for this side of the railing, we should just make it in a slightly different way. Now in this case, these bars, they are going to be visible and this railing will go behind that. So in this case, this part should be trimmed. All right, and here we are. So we've got this done. Now there is still a little bit of cleanup work required. Now you know that this part is going to be at the front and it's going to hide this area, so you need to ensure that it looks like such. So I'll just trim this. I'll also trim this because these things are just going to be exactly at the top of everything else, so they should be like this. Okay, so we are pretty much done. Now to add depth here, we can add the walls and hatches. So let's do that. So I'll go to offset, and the offset distance is 6, of course, for the wall thickness. Then I'll select this, offset it here. So we've got the 2 offsets here. Now we can pretty much trim everything else that we don't need. So let's just go to trim, enter, and I'll just trim this part of the drawing, actually this entire section, and we also don't need this entire ray. So I'll select, delete it, and instead now I'll add a simple straight line from this point to this. Okay. Now let's add a limit for this height as well. So here I'll just add a random line here. Of course, it's completely random, but in a real world situation where you'll add more details, you need to have a proper height here. And now I'll just trim this thing as well, and we can just get rid of this. Okay, so we are pretty much done. Now let's clean things up. So this and this is not required. So let's get rid of it and let's add a few hatches. So the first hatch pattern that we'll add is right here, and for that I'll actually trim this area as well. So trim, enter, trim this, and now I'll go to hatch. Now this is the hatched area. Now of course this is completely open, so this won't let you make the hatch pattern here because, well, this is open, so we need to ensure that it is closed. Alright, to fix the problem with this open area here, we'll add the break line. Now you can add break line using Express tool. So I'll go to Express, and here we have the break line symbol. So I'll just select break line, and now I'll just go to this point. I'll select this, and then I'll click at the midpoint, and we'll have the break line, which basically indicates that this wall is, well, going to go up and it's not the end of this wall here. Now you can copy and paste this, or you can make another one. So it's easier to make a new one. So I'll just make another one right about here, and done. Now we are ready to add the hatch pattern. So let's do that. But before I do that, I think I missed one more thing, and that's adding doors here. So we have not yet added door here or here. So I'll press Control 3. So press and hold Control and then 3 on your keyboard, and that's going to open the tool palette. On this tool palette, go to Architectural and select the door and drag it and drop it inside your drawing. We are here. Select the door and just rotate it by 90 degrees. So I'll go to Home and I'll select Rotate command, and I'll just go to this point right here and rotate it by 90 degrees. Select it and let's just move it where it should be. So I'll just select this point and I'll just move it right here, which is not the right spot, but we'll fix it. Select the door, move this grip to here. That's 6-inch wall thickness. Again, go to Move and just move it here. Now in this case, I'll type a distance of 3, enter, and done. Now that's done, but we need to also change the open angle. So I'll select this, and from this grip, I'll change the open angle to 90 degrees. And now that's proper. Okay, so that's pretty much done. Now let's go to trim and just trim this one. So I'll select this, and that's trimmed. It looks like it just trimmed this extra, so we'll just add lines here. So I'll just go to this point, add the line like so, and maybe we'll just get rid of this. And now I'll add the line connecting this to this. Okay, there we are. So the door is also added. Now, since we've added this door in the plan view, we need to add one here as well. And here the height of door is 7 feet. So that's what I want. So I'll go to line and I'll just hover my cursor here, move it up, and that should be 7 feet. Enter. It will automatically take you wherever 7 feet is, then click and done. So that's the height of door. Now, after sectioning, and we are assuming that the section line is passing through this area kind of like this, and that's how it is sectioned, the door will become kind of open. So I'll go to trim again and I'll trim these two lines and done. Okay, so that's how it's going to look like. Now we are done. Let's add the final detail, which is hatch. So I'll go to hatch and maybe NC31 for this, and I'll select this area because that's where it is sectioned and there is nothing else to add. Maybe we need sectioning here as well because that's also the place where it is sectioned. Now everything else looks quite good, the scale and everything. So I'll just press enter to accept the values. And also, just to add depth, you can add solid hatch pattern as well. So let's go to hatch again and I'll add the solid hatch pattern. So expand it, select solid, which is the first hatch pattern, and then add the solid hatch pattern here and here, here and here. So these are the areas where I'll just add the solid hatch pattern. Press enter and done. Now if you want to add even more details, you can add solid hatch pattern of different colors or different transparency just to add the depth here. And here also in the wall you can add different solid hatch patterns. So maybe I'll just add one here and finally maybe one for the railing, and we are pretty much done. So that's how the stair plan is going to look like after making all the changes. So that was the step-by-step method of making the stair plan. Now, as you can see, making drawings in ZWCAD is a breeze, especially when you are transitioning from AutoCAD. So if you haven't tried ZWCAD, then give it a shot by downloading the 30-day trial from link in the description of this video. Also, let me know in the comments what you want to see in the next video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.